Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about this Boker knife. I've had this a long time. I did a couple teasing videos, I don't know, last year, maybe even 2 years ago. I don't know, I've been sitting on this one for a very long time, just been hanging around, never got around to making a video, used it plenty, and now it's finally time to talk about it a little bit here. So this is a Boker Lateralus, and this is a JB Stout or Jason Stout design. Stout Knives. He does some really cool custom knives. The reason I was first interested in this because I actually saw the custom first. And Boker is awesome as far as working with a ton of different custom makers, bringing those custom designs into an affordable production version. And that knife, the one that I saw, I want to say it was a slightly different handle design, but I want to say it was like $1,500 or something. I saw a picture of it. I'm like, wow, that's a good looking knife. And wow, I'm never going to spend $1,500 on it. And then a little while later I saw the Boker version of it, and it took me forever to get one, but when I finally did, I was very excited about it because to me this is like one of the coolest looking knives. It is just very I don't know, aggressive looking. I mean, it just looks good. There's a ton of knives out there that work very well, and there's a ton that I like, but every now and again I stumble across a design that I just think is really cool, and that this was one of those. All right, so I absolutely love the blade profile. I love the you know, the handle design as well, how it narrows down quite a bit here, right before the pivot. It was just a good looking knife, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the other thing too, it's just like with cars or anything else, artwork, I suppose. Some people who love something, other people will go, ew. I've done that many times. People are like, hey, check out this new knife, it's so sexy. And I'm like, ugh. Whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. And that's cool, and that's what makes the world go round. But I absolutely love this. I love the fuller on it. It's a cool looking knife. So anyway, getting into some specs here. This one is 3.6 inches on our blade. It's a D2, all right, flat ground, clip point style. This one does have a stonewash finish. It might be a little bit harder to see here. It's not like a heavy stonewash. It's actually more of a fine grain, but it does make it a little bit better as far as scratches and stuff. I've always been a huge fan of stonewash finish knives, and there's many versions of that. Some of them look totally blown out, some of them have a very tight stonewash pattern, but this one's pretty good. I like it because it doesn't come across as stonewash right away. It almost looks like it could be satin. Let me see if I can get a close-up here, because I don't know if I'm doing this justice with the lighting. And don't mind it being dirty, of course. This is very well used and a lot older at this point. But anyway, while I'm in tight here, you can see the Stout logo on the back. All right, D2, 1304, I can only assume is the model number for this one. You know, it's weird because a lot of knives, you know, have either model numbers or names or both. And the knives that have names, like this one, I don't know the model numbers offhand. There's other knives, like a lot of Kershaws and stuff and ZTs. Most people know them by their model numbers. Benchmades obviously have model numbers and names. So it kind of goes back and forth, but specifically with Boker, I don't think I can recall many model numbers offhand. There's mostly just different names. But anyway, going back to the specs, closed here, 5.4 ounces. All right, G10 top scale here with some cutouts on it. All right, this is mimicking, I believe, one of his customs directly, although again, there's a ton of variety. Obviously, we have a metal frame lock here, okay? So some people are into that, where you have, you know, a separate scale than obviously the frame lock, being that frame locks are titanium and stainless steel, and they're all metal. So some people like a full metal knife, but more times than not, when you see a frame lock like this, the top scale is some kind of synthetic material. If nothing else, to cut on weight, but also to give it a different look. You can run a bunch of different colors and stuff. I believe this one is stainless steel. All right, lockup is totally fine on this, even with tons and tons of use. There's no play in any direction. All right, which is very nice. Yeah, I mean, ergonomics, I guess I should finish the specs, 8.2 inches overall. So, you know, to me, it's a large knife, medium to large, it's not huge or anything. It is very robust. You can see there's some jimping on the back here, okay? Not the most comfortable jimping to me. This is the jimping that you know, tickles my finger. It doesn't, I'm not, you know, cracking up when I'm using the knife or anything. And what I mean by that is that it's aggressive enough where you feel it's there, but it's rounded, okay? And because it's rounded, it's not really facilitating grip. So what ends up happening, I'll let that camera focus for a second. What ends up happening here is as I run my finger across it, my finger's sliding, and it becomes uncomfortable, almost as if it's tickling me. It's not hurting me. It's not painful. It's almost like getting tickled. Now, most times when I'm cutting stuff, I'm not going like that, obviously. But when I put pressure on it, and I go to make a cut into something, and my thumb slides a little bit, it just becomes uncomfortable. I don't really care that much about it. It's not a huge deal or anything. It's just, I feel like if you're going to use some kind of jimping or any kind of texturing on a knife anywhere, either make it aggressive or make it really not aggressive. You know, it's hard because there's no real middle ground there, and that's what this ends up falling in, a middle ground. It looks aggressive, you got to hold on to it, and it's not really grabbing your skin. It's not grabbing the thumb. Your thumb's easily moving on it, so what's the point? Might as well just make it smooth. So that's my opinion on that. You could see that by the blade design here, there's a huge blade choil, I suppose you would call that a massive blade choil. I can and have used the tip of my finger on there, almost like a finger rest, although it's not really full-size finger rest, so if you actually put your finger up in there, you can see the cutting edge is going to grab onto your skin and probably cut you, okay, especially if you're using an aggressive cut. So it's not really meant for that. It makes sharpening very easy because it can all the way down to the heel of the blade. But again, just using the tip of your finger, I've done it just accidentally, not really on purpose, and it's worked out totally fine. It's not actual finger choil. But anyway, you can see there's cutouts here for the lock bar, so it is very comfortable to unlock this. All right, this is running on a bearing system in the pivot, so it's super smooth. It is a flipper, if I haven't already mentioned that. The only thing I don't like about this knife, I love the way it looks, I love the way it performs. The D2 is totally fine, very adequate. D2 is used a ton on a ton of different companies for good reason. D2 is a tool steel. It does have some properties that allows it to rust if you really don't take care of it, or if you live in an environment where, you know, metal rusting is very prevalent. You know, oceanside, you get that ocean salty air going on, very humid environments and so on. So of course, if you have rust issues with a lot of your knives, D2 is probably something you should stay away from, or just make sure you maintain properly. But anyway, getting back to the flipper here, that's what I don't like about it. It looks cool, it works great, but the flipper's uncomfortable to me. It's a squared off flipper, so what ends up happening is all the pressure when flipping this blade open lands on this corner. And it's not like a super sharp corner or anything, it's just there's a heavy detent in here. All right, and because of that, you need to build up some pressure. So when you build up some pressure and flip it open, you know, it's a little uncomfortable on the fingertip. See a little dent in there. Not the end of the world. And again, using this knife for at least a year, maybe 18 months, whatever it happens to be, 2 years, it's just something I always notice. I always keep going back to it, and I go to flip it open, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that's a little uncomfortable. A little uncomfortable. That's an important thing here. I mean, when I'm doing a knife review, I'm critiquing knives. Is it gonna, you know, make your finger sore for days on end? No, of course not. Do some people care? No, of course not. But this is a critique. This is something that stood out to me. It is a little bit uncomfortable compared to a lot of different flipper designs out there. But yeah, I mean, it's nice and smooth, all right, because of those the bearing system on there. There is a lanyard hole on the back. Pocket clip is curved and totally fine. Works very, very well. You see it's tucked up high in the corner of the knife. All right, curved in over, so obviously it doesn't land on the lock bar since you have to move the lock bar. All right, so it's actually resting on the very corner of the frame there. Works totally fine, again, because we have a smooth metal scale here. Slides in and out of the pocket material very, very nicely, but it is tight. Okay, like almost cold steel tight. So you do need a tiny bit of pressure to overcome that. But again, the smooth texture here really, really helps. If this was running on some textured G10 or something, it would be in the cold steel territory as far as tight pocket clips. Yeah, I mean, this knife sells for $90, between, I'll say 80 and 100, but pretty consistently like high 80s, 88, 89, something like that. So let's just call it a $90 knife. For $90, you're pretty much buying the design, okay? For the people who will never have the, you know, $800 to $1,500, you know, actual Stout custom, this is a great option. It's a good looking knife. Now, in today's day and age, there's a ton of options. If you're just looking at materials, if you're just looking at, you know, a stainless G10 frame lock with D2 blade, obviously you can get better than that. I use air quotes again, better, meaning cheaper, but you won't get this design, okay? You could probably get that knife that I mentioned for 40 bucks, 50 bucks, maybe you can get a, you know, overseas version of it for $20, you know, so the whole material aspect, it doesn't really matter. It's not super impressive or anything. What you're paying for here is the design. Okay, the quality is very good, you know, but it's not like it's light years ahead of anything that's, you know, Chinese made or Taiwanese made or anything like that. You know, it's just good. It's just a good knife. It definitely works. It locks are very solid. It's a comfortable knife design. I do like the ergonomics overall, but you're not going to be blown away by the materials. So for $90, is it worth it? No. I'll actually go out and say, no, it's not worth it in that you have so many different options for cheaper. But if you like the design, that's what it is. It's a $90 knife. It's priced around the $40 or $50, price mark. So I will say, in my opinion, and I don't actually say this often because I don't think a lot of things are overpriced, but this one is technically overpriced, okay? If you're one of those people that just focus in on materials. But honestly, it's a really cool knife. And if you ever wanted this knife, that's what it costs. So it is what it is, right? Again, only downside is the slight discomfort from the flipper. Other than that, it's been working out very, very well. And this one has been in the collection because I love it. I really do. So I continue to keep revisiting it. And this is one of the knives that has a residence on my desk because I just like looking at it. I like playing with it. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I know that flipper is so uncomfortable, because I'm constantly flipping it. So anyway, that's it. If you happen to have the Boker Lateralus, let me know down below. If you happen to have the Jason Stout custom Lateralus, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Like I said, who knows what the future holds, but no plans on ever forking over the dough for one of those. But they are sweet looking, I'll tell you. Very, very cool knives. So that's it. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.